Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Heather, and this is the Fox and Compass. Today we're going to be talking about sovereign citizens. If you've been around the internet a while, you've probably encountered one or two. You may even know some in real life like I do. But as the movement grows in the media and more people claim sovereign citizen status, I just wanted to sit down and talk about what this movement is, where it came from, and why it's dangerous. This topic is a serious one, and I wanted to make sure you understand the gravity of this discussion, so there's nothing playing in the background of today's video. No crochet, no video games. Instead, here in a bit, I'll play and react to some clips. First, I want to give a content warning. We're talking about domestic terrorism in this video. This is not a video that is light in discussion, and later we will be talking about death, police brutality, and white supremacy. If these topics are disturbing to you, please refrain from watching further. I care for you and your well-being, and I don't want you to view something that might cause you mental anguish or stress or trauma. One other quick note, while sovereign citizens exist all over the world, I will largely be discussing the US variety. There is a growing number of Sovcits in places like Australia, Canada, and the UK, but for the purposes of this video, I'm really only talking about United States sovereign citizens. With that said, let's get into it. What is a sovereign citizen? Sovereign citizens, which I'll just call Sovcits from here on out, are a group of people who believe, in essence, that they are above the law. They believe the United States government is invalid, that U.S. currency has no value, taxation is theft, and above all else, they believe that they are beholden to common law and that state and federal statutory law hold no sway over them. What's the difference? Well, generally, common law refers to unwritten laws that are established by precedent. Basically, common law can be interpreted anytime a court makes a decision that isn't codified into law. Statutory law is when a law is codified properly and becomes a written statute. Common law is something that's been around for a very long time. When the United States was first founded, we adopted England's common law, and that included several laws and procedures that built the base of our judicial system at first. Over time, the U.S. developed its own common law, though the similarities between the two countries' common laws are still prevalent. Sovcits follow common law over statutory law for a variety of reasons. Mostly, though, it's because they completely misunderstand laws in general, or how they work. In the U.S., they disregard all federal laws and most state laws as illegitimate. Sovcits will cite old documents like the Magna Carta or the Articles of Confederation and claim that those laws are legitimate while the laws made today are not. Why do they do this, you might ask? Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center gives us one possible answer. The contemporary sovereign's belief system is based on a decades-old conspiracy theory. Sovereigns believe that the American government set up by the Founding Fathers under a common law legal system was secretly replaced. They think the replacement government swapped common law for admiralty law, which is the law of the sea and international commerce. Yeah, I know, right? You'll often hear Sovcits declare that judges hold no power over the people because they operate under maritime or admiralty law, which is quite simply ridiculous. Maritime law governs private businesses on the sea, like it dictates certain things like how to handle an injury legally if a fisherman gets injured. In fact, many Sovcits consider statutory law to be maritime law and claim they don't have to follow it at all because they aren't a commercial business at sea. The SPLC goes on further to say some sovereigns believe this perfidious change occurred during the Civil War, while others blame the events of 1933 when the U.S. abandoned the gold standard. Either way, they stake their lives and livelihoods on the idea that U.S. judges and lawyers, who they believe are foreign agents, know about this hidden government takeover but argue against it, denying the sovereign's motions and filings out of treasonous loyalty to hidden and malevolent government forces. So because of this wild conspiracy theory, these people claim that the government infringes upon their rights simply by existing, and in some weird circular logic, Sovcits essentially believe that they get to pick and choose which laws to obey and which laws to ignore. In general, the highest office of law they recognize is the sheriff of whatever county they reside in. And just to really ground you in how strange sovereign citizens are, here's a list of strange sovereign citizen beliefs, which, for me, they're mind-boggling. They believe that documents written in all caps and contain a seal are invalid contracts as they fall under admiralty or maritime law. As such, writing in red ink invalidates any contract a Sovcit might be forced to sign. Birth certificates are illegal contracts that sell you as a person to foreign investors who use your existence, I guess, to make the Federal Reserve bankers richer. Birth certificates are also used to create a corporate shell of a person rather than denote the time, date, and place a person was born. Yes, they believe that birth certificates are a contract created in your name when you're born. Strange, right? Oh yeah, they also believe that the U.S. Treasury has an account full of money for every citizen of the United States, and you can literally call them or send them a letter to get your money, to withdraw your money from whatever account they believe exists. This one is pretty insidious and is often the source of many Sovcit scams. They like to spread false information that you can file a 1099 OID, which is a form you file with the IRS in reference to specific types of bonds, and you'll get access to whatever money they think the government has been keeping from you. They also believe that by writing your name in all caps and in order of first, middle, and last name, you are referring to your corporate shell, not your person. Instead, they style your names like this. Say your name was Aria Nicole Stark. If you write your name in all caps and in that manner, you're invoking your corporate shell. If you style your name as Aria-Nicole Stark, then you're basically saying your name is Aria Nicole of the family or clan Stark. This is a useless distinction and part of their paper terrorism tactics. They believe that taxation is theft and that they can take part of existing within a community without supporting that community. And Sovcits believe that they can go through a process called redemption to separate themselves from their corporate shell, which again is something created by your birth certificate, clearly, enabling them to use phony currencies, decline to pay taxes, and more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. They really do. There's a myriad of just wild beliefs that sovereign citizens hold. It's very important to understand that most Sovcits are white Christians, but more on that in a moment. It's also important to note that there isn't one unified movement for Sovcits. Think of that term as an umbrella. There are movements within the larger movement, and each group interprets laws and even their own ideology differently. Sovcits in general may seem harmless and commit seemingly victimless crimes, such as faking driver's licenses, faking registration tags, impersonating journalists in an effort to audit free speech, impersonating law enforcement, and all sorts of things. However, the FBI has actually deemed sovereign citizens on the whole as domestic terrorists, and with good reason. In an article posted to their website in April of 2010, they describe Sovcits as terrorists and have this to say about some more specific cases. During the past year, we've had a number of investigative successes involving sovereign citizens. A few recent cases. In Sacramento, 2 sovereign citizens were convicted of running a fraudulent insurance scheme. In Kansas City, 3 sovereign citizens were convicted of taking part in a conspiracy using phony diplomatic credentials. They charged customers between $450 and $2,000 for a diplomatic identification card, which would bestow upon the holder sovereign status. In Las Vegas, 4 men affiliated with the sovereign citizen movement were arrested by the Nevada Joint Terrorism Task Force on federal money laundering, tax evasion, and weapons charges. Now, many Sovcits would declare that the FBI is of course spreading misinformation about their movement. The government doesn't want people to know that they know the truth, right? No, it's all baloney. It's all baloney. There have been many deaths at the hand of Sovcits too. One notable case is that of Terry Nichols. According to the Anti-Defamation League, in April 1992, an angry resident of Sanilac County, Michigan, wrote a letter to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources stating he was no longer a citizen of the corrupt political corporate state of Michigan and the United States of America, and was answerable only to the common laws. He therefore expressly revoked his signature on any hunting or fishing licenses, which he viewed as contracts that fraudulently bound him to the illegitimate government of Michigan. That obscure Michigan hunter would, 3 years later, become known to the entire world. He was Terry Nichols, friend and accomplice of Oklahoma City Federal Building bomber Timothy McVeigh. Yikes. There's another, lesser-known sovereign citizen terrorist. Some people deny that Nichols was a Sovcit, so here's a story about a man who publicly called himself a sovereign citizen. I'm quoting here from an article from The Guardian, which I've linked below if you want to read the whole thing. On May 20th, 2010, a police officer pulled over a white Ohio minivan on Interstate 40 near West Memphis, Arkansas. Unbeknown to the officer Bill Evans, the occupants of the car, Jerry Kane Jr. and his teenage son, Joseph Kane, were self-described sovereign citizens, members of a growing domestic extremist movement who whose adherents reject the authority of federal, state, and local law. Kane, who traveled the country giving instructional seminars on debt evasion, had been posing as a pastor. Religious literature was laid out conspicuously for anyone who might peer into the van, and when Evans ran the van's plates, they came back registered to the House of God's Prayer, an Ohio church. Also in the van, though Evans did not know it, were weapons Kane had bought at a Nevada gun show days earlier. Kane had been in a series of run-ins with law enforcement. After the most recent incident a month earlier, he had decided that the next time a law enforcement officer bothered him, it would be the last. Another patrolling officer nearby, Sergeant Brandon Pottert, began to wonder why Evans was taking so long on a routine traffic stop. When he pulled up at the scene, he saw Evans and Kane speaking on the side of the highway. Evans handed him some puzzling paperwork that Kane had provided when asking for identification, vaguely official-looking documents filled with cryptic language. He examined the papers while Evans prepared to frisk Kane. Suddenly, Jerry Kane turned and tackled Evans, knocking him down into a ditch. The younger Kane vaulted from the passenger side of the minivan and opened fire with an AK-47. Evans, an experienced officer who also served on the SWAT team, was fatally wounded before he even drew his weapon. Pottert was struck down moments later while returning fire. As the two officers bled out on the side of the highway, the Kanes jumped back into their van and sped off. A FedEx trucker who had witnessed the shooting called 911. Later, the father and son murder duo was found in a Walmart parking lot and there was a standoff, resulting in injuries to more officers and the deaths of the Kanes. Fun fact, I was actually on the road that day. I was on 40 outside of West Memphis. The Walmart that they ended up at was a Walmart in West Memphis. I used to have to drive from my mom's house in Texas to where I was living in Kentucky at the time, and we took 40. I was stuck in traffic for a really long time, and it was because of this. And we had no idea. I didn't know until, days later what had actually happened. Yeah, it was this. Not all law enforcement encounters with Sovcits end in death, however. Sometimes the government just capitulates to the demands of these terrorists. In 2014, for instance, a rancher by the name of Cliven Bundy received a visit from law enforcement. They were there to confiscate his cattle because he'd been letting them graze on federal lands without permission and without paying the fees required. Bundy declared in an interview that he doesn't follow federal laws and doesn't view those lands as federal property, which is so silly. They are public property, technically, and the government relies on those fees and taxes to maintain them for the public good. What bothers me is that this old white dude got away with basically a slap on the wrist after he threatened violence and the feds just backed off. If he had been an indigenous person or a black person, he'd have been killed. Pretty sure of it. This brings me to my next point. Where do Sovcits come from? Why do they even exist? They were born out of a white supremacist hate group called Posse Comitatus, formed by a man named William Potter. This group of legitimately fucked up individuals believed that non-white people were inhuman and that Jewish people had hatched a satanic plot to take over the world. Posse Comitatus is Latin for the power of the county, and that's where modern Sovcits get the idea that the highest seat of government is the county, specifically the sheriff. The Southern Poverty Law Center says Posse Comitatus is based on the Sheriff's Act of 1887, which allowed sheriffs to form a posse that would assist them in hunting down and arresting criminals. Potter's posse believed they served under common law, laws based on their interpretation of the Bible, rather than civil law, legitimate laws, formed by the American legal system. But what happens when you form a quasi-legal law enforcement group based on racism and anti-Semitism? You end up with what we have today, a group of people who can't use common sense or critical thinking skills to interpret or follow laws as they're written, all while using defunct state documents, a mishmash of founding father quotes, and making up their own rules and bureaucracy to terrorize basically everyone around them. Let me show you some clips of a family of Sovcits in action. I chose this family in particular because they put their own legal saga on their YouTube, but not many people have seen or know about these people. I'll show you a longer clip where the family in question, the Walkers, are pulled over and issued a citation. This is a good clip to show because they talk amongst themselves a lot to try and figure out a way out of the situation and the citation. Then I'll show you a clip of the pair of them getting arrested on a warrant at their house. And then I'll show you a final disturbing video where the Walkers discuss whether or not they are terrorists. Before I start the clips, I want to reiterate my warning from earlier. These are not easy videos to watch, so please don't watch if police interactions, white supremacists, any of this stuff bothers you. There's a lot of dead air in these as well, so I cut down on them to save time. The first clip is titled, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, Chris's Kidnapping by Armed Hoodlum. It's linked below if you want to watch the whole thing.
Listen to the conversation being recorded, okay?
Yes, it is being recorded.
Great. reason I'm stopping you is not everywhere, but your license is suspended.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have your driver's license? Proof of insurance on you?
I'm not in commerce, so I therefore don't need a driver's license.
You're not in what?
Commerce.
Okay. Well, you're on a public roadway within the state of Oregon. Okay, you need a driver's license.
Yeah.
Can you show me the law?
Law for no valid operator's license? I believe it's 806-012. Or I can check that out. It might be 806-010, but I can check that for you.
Can you show me the law?
Driving while spent is A11-175. But I need to see your license registration.
Do you understand that here in Oregon and everywhere else, if you're not in commerce, you're not required to have a driver's license? It's also under ORS.
The Department of Motor Vehicles only issues commercial driver's license.
I don't have that on us. It's titling, optional, titling,
Okay, I'm not gonna
registration, and driver's license.
I'm asking you for your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. Are you going to present that to me or not?
I can't do that.
You're not going to present that to me.
That would be fraud.
I can't do that.
That would be...
they only offer commercial driver's licenses, and I'm not in a commercial capacity.
You should actually look up the Motor Vehicle Act.
Make it clear one more time. You're not willing to present me with a driver's license.
Right.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'm free to go.
I'm being detained. On what grounds am I being detained?
On my grounds.
On your grounds I'm being detained? What grounds am I being detained?
Issue some citations. So you're not free to go.
But on what grounds am I being detained?
So he's refusing.
A couple things here. When they're talking about, oh, we're not in commerce, it's because of a misinterpreted definition in Black's Law Dictionary. Sovcits usually believe that they don't have to obtain a driver's license unless they plan to operate a vehicle as a commercial vehicle. This is the definition of a driver according to Black's Law Dictionary. One employed in conducting a coach, carriage, wagon, or other vehicle with horses, mules, or other animals, or a bicycle, tricycle, or motor car, though not a street railroad car. They think when it says employed, it literally means employed. When in legal terms, employed doesn't necessarily mean having a paid job. According to Black's Law Dictionary, it means employed signifies both the act of doing a thing and the being under contract or orders to do it. Lots and lots and lots of Sovcits will cite Black's Law Dictionary without actually reading it. If they looked beyond their cherry-picked definitions, I think they'd be a lot less confused. The second thing I wanted you to notice is that he had to tell these people that they were not free to go. This is because if a law enforcement officer doesn't explicitly state that a person is being detained, a lot of these Sovcits will just drive off. They do not care. Thirdly, these people are white. Like white. This officer handles them with respect almost, and I certainly hope that he would treat people of color with the same amount of respect that he's showing these people. Moving on.
It is 6:07 on 9/5/2013, my son's birthday. We have Officer Pitcher pulling us over. We've been recording the whole incident so far with a video camera, but I'm just recording on our audio as well because he's writing my wife Laura a citation for failure to carry an operator's license. Knowing full well that this is a crime he's committing, we just informed him that she is not in commerce, therefore she does not need a driver's license, registration, or insurance. But he's continuing to harass, like these city police have been. This is a violation of Title 18, 241, and 242.
Babe, stop with the titles. We don't give a fuck about titles. But we know. They don't pertain to us. It's just a violation of our unalienable rights.
Exactly.
Those titles and stuff, they don't pertain to us. It only pertains to if another public body wants to go after this public body.
But they're violating their code. That's what it is. And they're doing it against our rights, which is what is 241 and 242 of Title 18. Conspiracy to... it's conspiracy against the rights and defrauding your rights.
What they're talking about there are the titles that basically say it's illegal to deny a person of their rights. And Title 18, 242 specifically is about depriving a person of their rights under color of law. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't really think either title applies here. I link them down below if you want to read the whole text for yourself. I also think that it's hilarious that he's going off about that and she's like, hush, those don't apply to us anyway. Like, these two are married Sovcits and can't even agree on which codes to follow. It's kind of hilarious.
I feel like we should just go.
If you want to, you can. He might chase us and draw a gun on us. I should tell him to hurry up though, huh? Do you mind if I told him?
To hurry up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem that I have is kind of like the way that you talk is not... It just seems kind of really intense, which it kind of is on both parts, me and you. But we're just so tired of it.
Well, I just want him to understand. And coming from me, he can't take it against you. 8 minutes so far we've been sitting here for him to write a citation. A contract. I just want to roll down my window and be like, excuse me.
I can't even roll my window down now. Let me do it. Mr. Pitcher! Can we hurry this along, please? I have to go. Did that sound rude?
No.
I cut out a lot of dead air and there is still so much, but I want y'all to see as much of the meat of the original video as possible. It cracked me up a little bit when she was like, was that rude? Like, since when do you guys care if you're being rude?
No, this is what's rude. Having him sit here for this long, even pulling this over in the first place.
Okay, hold on, baby.
I should take that and step out and be like, excuse me, but...
No, don't leave your vessel.
So I don't know if you heard it, but the little boy in the back said he has to poop. And then the dad immediately thought that that was the perfect excuse to engage with the officer. Like, this will be important again later. And her being like, don't leave your vessel. I thought they didn't follow maritime law, and yet she uses terminology like that. Interesting.
Here he comes. He's walking up with his hand on his gun.
Why?
Okay, Ms. Weaver, green issue citation for driving while suspended in violation, driving uninsured, failure to carry the vehicle registration. Your court date is 9/23/2013 at 8:30 a.m. at 225 West All Street, Newport, Oregon, Lincoln County Courthouse. Okay, these are all violations. They're not mandatory appearances. You appear by mail at that address right there, or there's 4 officers in the back, take the way and take care of it. Okay? Any questions about your citation?
No questions. Do you have a business card?
Jeremy, don't do that.
What's that?
Do you have a business card?
I'm sure I do. Would you like one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you carry any bond?
Do you?
This discussion with you numerous times. I don't know what you mean by bonds. I don't know any of that.
Well, you have to have bond or limited
I know
liability
Oregon
insurance.
statute laws, okay. So there's that. I'm not going to tow your vehicle, but you're not okay to drive away from here, okay? If you drive away from here, you're going to be subject to more citations in the vehicle tow.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't say anything. Just.
Okay, so you got to get somebody with a license down here to drive. Okay? There's that for you. Are you going to take it?
Nope. You.
So he's telling us we cannot drive.
We're not driving. We're traveling.
Exactly.
At the car.
And he's gonna wait for us to go to travel, and he's probably gonna pull us over again. And of course, he's probably got backup somewhere. Do you want me to drive?
No. Should I just make a dash home and get in the Durango?
Sure. Or just, if they try to tow our vehicle with our kids in the truck, in the rain with no sweaters,
Do you want to do it?
I'll do it.
You promise that you won't put the car in park or anything like that?
Like, what do you mean in park?
What did he say? Should I stop this?
No, keep that recording the whole time as long as it'll record.
What did he say about if we need somebody with a license?
Yeah, to come down here and drive it. Yeah, he's waiting right down there. But I'm just gonna go home, okay?
Which way you want to go?
Straight. He's right there. He's gonna pull out anyways. So at least if I get home, if they try to arrest me, then
Just put it somewhere safe.
kids in the car. You understand they're probably gonna try to arrest me?
Don't sign anything.
I won't. Sorry, Bobby.
When we get out, keep the keys in. I'll lock the door.
Okay.
What do you want? This?
Yeah.
Tell him your son had to poop.
Hey, ma'am. My son has to take a crap.
I know that went on for a little bit, and Mr. Walker here is about to be arrested. Because he was the one driving, I cut out a lot of the part where they switched seats. I left the original video intact from the moment they left the ATM until they got home. It was like 2 minutes, tops. And they used part of that time to plot against the officer. It's just weird. And Mr. Walker immediately gets out of the vehicle and uses the "my son has to poop" excuse without really engaging with his child at all throughout this. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, there's really not much to see as far as his arrest goes for this clip. However, the rest of what I'm going to show you is more of their Sovcit talking points and them trying to make the officer feel guilty for arresting Mr. Walker on their child's birthday.
Okay.
Put your hands behind your back. Turn around, put your hands
Are
behind
you,
your back.
are you detaining me?
Yes,
Do you
I am.
understand this is a deprivation of my
Turn around,
right?
put your hands behind your back.
And do you also
Turn
understand
around, put your hands behind your back.
the no trespassing sign right there,
You don't
164265?
understand.
Will you give her my wallet and stuff? You have a serious deprivation of rights problem, man. You're violating Title 18, 241, and 242.
Our son had to poop. Why are you doing
Yeah.
this?
You have the right to me, sign it.
It was raining. My
Everything
kids
you
are in the
say.
car. It's my son's birthday
We'll be
picture.
held against you
Hey,
by law.
hey, you will
Your
take
right to
the
talk.
stuff out of my. You
Your right
will
to talk
take
to
my
me.
stuff
Picture.
out and give it to my
I
wife.
will, on my terms.
Hey, dude.
Yes.
Picture. Our son had to poop. This is inhumane.
This is inhumane, man. What do you? How do you think this is even like justified, man?
justified to face witnesses.
You think this is justified, man?
Only point of residential if you're questioning. You understand your rights? Right now you're being detained, okay? If it's
I don't stand under.
Northwest A and about industrial.
My 4-year-old son has to take a crap. It is his birthday today. Okay. You had to sit
Why
there
are you
10
doing
minutes.
Ma'am, I suggest if your son needs to use the bathroom, you go ahead and let him use the bathroom.
But why are you doing this?
Ma'am, if your son needs to use the bathroom,
You're
let him use the
taking
bathroom.
his father on his birthday. Why are you doing this, pitcher?
I have my opinions on that whole situation, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Who was in the right? Should Mr. Walker have been arrested? Should Mrs. Walker just take that poor baby boy inside to poop? Since it was such a major concern? Alright, so this next clip is another instance of them getting arrested. I don't know what for, but given their history of disregarding road laws, it's possible the warrants were issued due to non-payment of citations. I have no idea though. The video is titled, "These Cops Are Out of Control. No oath, no bond, no office." And it's linked below.
Hi there.
Sergeant Rourke.
Yep. It's Officer Shaver. Okay.
Officer Schaber.
You two both have warrants for your arrest. So, no, ma'am, you're not going to go back in the residence.
No,
You have a warrant
she's
for your
not.
arrest, okay? And I'll show them to you, all right? These are teletype copies of the warrants for your arrest.
That's not a legal warrant.
Yeah, this is a legal warrant.
Just
This
so
is a
you
legal
know,
document.
it doesn't have a
Okay.
signature by a judge on it.
This is
so
a
that's
legal
not a legal document.
Okay. So, you have somebody here to take care of your child?
Right off the bat, Mr. Walker is claiming the warrant isn't legitimate because it has to be signed by a judge to be valid. This is partially true. In Oregon, a warrant must be signed by a judge to be valid. However, a copy of the warrant is sufficient provided it has all the required information, which it likely does. In most states, you can't just declare a warrant invalid because it doesn't have the very specific addition of a judge's signature in fresh ink. But that's what a lot of these type of people tend to think. Whether they actually believe it is immaterial because they just cling to it so hard that it's just ridiculous. If a cop shows up to arrest you, you're well within your rights to verify the validity of a warrant because Lord knows there have been some awful situations. In this case, though, it was likely valid.
Because you both have warrants for your arrest. You do?
Well, I want names, bonds.
Yeah, do you have bonds
Well,
on you as well?
I'm trying to work with you guys to try to do that.
And
That's what I'm trying to tell you, okay?
we're
I
trying
don't want to
to
leave your
save-
child or anything like that. I want to make sure you have somebody to take care of your kid. Okay, so I'm just trying to work with you to make sure there's somebody here to take care of your child.
And we need to make sure that you have bonds.
And that you
There's no
have the
bond
jurisdiction. Because
I do have
if-
the jurisdiction. You guys have warrants for your arrest.
Okay,
so-
but if you don't have
Okay.
a bond, then you have no acting jurisdiction
Okay.
especially on my property.
They mention officer bonds in the last clip, and here's what I could figure out. In many cities, states, and counties, people who handle money in an official capacity are bonded, which is kind of like an insurance against fraud or theft or what have you. In some places, police are bonded too in a way that acts like malpractice insurance, I suppose. This is not a universal concept, but Sovcit educators preach that all cops must have a bond and be able to provide their bond number when requested. I don't know what to say about that beyond the fact that I can't find anything official supporting that assertion.
Which it's
Okay.
posted.
Well, you need to step out here, sir. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And you need to step out here, ma'am.
I need to make sure that you have bonds or you
Okay,
have
you
to
need
go.
to step out here, ma'am.
And you
I'm not
also
going to
have
go.
to
You're
have-
going to be under arrest. You are under arrest, okay?
I don't
You are
consent.
under arrest and you're under arrest. So step out there with that officer,
we
please.
don't consent.
I understand you don't consent, but you are under arrest.
You-
You have 2 warrants for your arrest. You
You
have one out
have
of Newburgh
to-
and one out of the city of Philomath.
You have to provide
Okay.
bonds.
It's my mother-in-law's.
Of course.
Okay. So this I'm placing right here.
Okay.
And you do have no jurisdiction because you don't have
I
a
understand how
warrant
you
with
feel.
the
I understand how you
signature on
feel.
it.
I understand how you
So
feel.
I need you to step down there.
No, you're not going to go in the house.
No,
ma'am.
she's
I'm not going in the house,
Okay.
but I have every right to
Ma'am,
talk to my mother.
I understand, ma'am. I
And
understand,
tell
but you're
her-
not going to go back in the house.
I am not going back in the house.
Okay.
But I need you to
No,
step
I'm not
down
gonna
there.
step down
You
there.
haven't provided any legitimacy
I am
that
not
no
gonna step down
bond,
there.
no office.
Ma'am, I'm trying
We
to
do
work
not
with you. Go
consent.
ahead.
Do you have a bond? Do you have a bond?
And this is
Do you have
committing- you're
insurance?
committing
Ma'am, if you want to
serious
talk to her,
felony
talk to her. If not, I'm going to
Who's
put you in
your-
custody and you're going to go
who's-
with me. Okay?
Who's your
All
insurer?
right, you need to turn around.
Hold on.
Come on, you need
Hold
to turn
on.
around.
No.
Ma'am, stop.
No.
You need to
Rourke,
turn around
I
and
need
put
you
your
to
hands
get down
behind your
there.
back.
Let
Ma'am,
me
you need
talk to my
Well,
mother.
then talk. Quit trying to argue with me and talk to her. I said you could. Okay?
No.
But you need
You
to step
need
down
to
here.
step
I'm not
back
going to
and
step
give me
down
my
there. No,
space.
no, you're under arrest.
Hey,
Don't
Stop.
touch
You
me.
are under arrest.
You have
You
no
are
right.
under arrest.
Geneva!
No bond,
You are-
no office.
Stop. You are under arrest.
Rourke,
Stop. Don't
let
get
me-
additional charges, please.
It's
I don't
not
wanna do this.
additional
Yes, it is.
charges. Let
You
me
are-
talk
you are
to my
under arrest.
mother.
Yes.
Brittany, come up here, please.
Hey.
Let me talk to my mother.
Okay,
Geneva!
I said you could talk to your mother, but you kept telling me to step down. Grab this arm, please.
You
Let
are
me-
Okay.
unlawfully
You are-
and you are...
Ma'am,
you are...
ma'am, stop,
Let-
please. Please.
you
Set it down.
serious?
Set the camera down, please. There, you can put her on us and everything,
Title?
okay?
Yeah, there's a knife right here. Yeah, take care of that.
Let go.
Please.
No bond, no office,
No
Rourke.
bonds, no office.
I do not consent to this.
I know you don't.
You do not have a problem.
Get off. There's no warrant, no arrest. Get off of me.
Let go of her.
Get
Now.
off. No
Rourke.
bond, no office. Why are you doing this?
Stop.
Get off of me.
Just let her go.
You
I'm not
have.
going to let her go. She has a warrant for her arrest.
Show me the warrant.
Yes.
I
You,
did.
Show
haven't,
me
you
the
showed
local
one
I'm
piece
going
of
to put you
paper.
on the ground if you do not
Show
stop.
me
And if
the
you do that,
local
you'll
warrant.
have serious
I am not
consequences.
trying to cuss. She's causing all these problems.
Hey,
Brittany,
you're
step aside.
here unlawfully detaining my wife.
Rourke, show me
Manhandling
the
her.
warrant.
Not until my
Show me
mother-in-law
the
comes
warrant.
I showed you the
Her
warrant.
name is Geneva.
I want to see a signed warrant
Now.
with a sworn affidavit.
Hey Jeff, can you come witness this? You don't have a signed warrant with a sworn affidavit in support signed by a judge.
So, with much yelling and tantrum throwing, these two were arrested. She kept saying she didn't consent and they were being unlawfully arrested. And in this case, I don't think that was true, but I wasn't there and I haven't been able to track down any court records on this family. It bothers me that these two can get arrested time and again and never are they injured in the process. And yet the cops will gun down black kids in the street like it's nothing. I'll talk more about this later, but what makes me so sick about these people is the fact that they're using their white privilege to continuously break the law, get arrested, all of that, and not once do they truly have to fear for their lives. Anyway, this next clip is a doozy. The first part is hard to hear, but I'm going to let it play all the way through. The clip is titled, "Are We Really Terrorists? The Government Thinks So." The first part of this clip is the audio between a cop and a dispatcher after he's arrested Mrs. Walker in relation to a car accident. You can see the car in his dash cam. The text on screen is from the original video, which I've, again, got linked below.
Here's the deal. I like you, by the way. Oh, no problem. I told him that's what you want to do.
Oregon State Police, this is Nikki.
It's 3318. I'm calling in.
Hey, I take it your dispatcher wants you.
Yes, I guess so.
Hang on a second. Hey, Freddie, she's on the phone. I don't know what she wanted, but she's on the phone. It's going to be a minute, okay?
Okay, the closer I get away from the car, the worse my reception gets.
She's off the phone. Hang on. Freddie.
Yes.
When I ran that, we did a terrorist hit on that bed and that plate. It's for a Laura Laverne Weaver, aka is AKA for Laura Walker, which is the last name of the guy that we ran. He's listed as the RO of that vehicle. They both are. Laura Weaver and Christopher Walker are listed as the ROs of that VIN. But it says solid record contains expired license plate data. Use caution, contact entering agency status. Possible terrorist organization member, caution, license. So was there a female on the car?
No, there was not. She's here now. She came to get the baby seat.
So she's there now?
Yeah, we'll get her information.
Okay, and this is not, and it says do not advise this individual that they may be on a terrorist watch list.
Okay. Yeah, I'll figure out who she is. We're just moving the stuff out of the roadway so we can get things opened up.
Okay. The hit should be on your MVP, and it has a social security and subscription to 53185, blue and blonde, or blonde and blue.
Yeah, that might be her. It's pudgy.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to be sure you had that information.
Alrighty.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'll let you know.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This exchange between the officer and dispatch happened after a car accident, as I said before. The accident was because Mr. Walker passed a car on a non-passing section of the road and collided headfirst into an oncoming car. The car you can see in the officer's dash cam, actually. Mrs. Walker only showed up later to grab the car seat, which you can hear the officer tell the dispatcher. I really hope she didn't intend on using it, because you're not supposed to use car seats after they've been in an accident. Anyway, here's an article about the accident from a local news station dated October 14th, 2016. A woman died when an SUV passing in a no-passing lane collided head-on with a sedan Wednesday afternoon, Oregon State Police said. Troopers are conducting an ongoing criminal investigation into the fatal crash. The crash happened around 4:45 p.m. on Highway 42 east of Myrtle Point. Oregon State Police said that the preliminary investigation found that Christopher R. Walker, 31, of Myrtle Point, was eastbound in a 2001 Dodge Durango when he made a pass in a no-passing lane. The Dodge collided head-on with a westbound 2010 Toyota Corolla. Firefighters pulled 2 people from the wreckage of the Toyota and rushed them to the hospital. The driver, Horace Arnold, 76, of Myrtle Point, is expected to survive. His passenger, 76-year-old Marjorie R. Sluter of Myrtle Point, died at the hospital from her injuries. Walker was not injured, police said. So this man killed a woman. Their disregard for the law caused a woman to die. I read somewhere that Chris Walker was put in jail on vehicular manslaughter charges, but I couldn't find anything to corroborate that. I was able to confirm that he spent some time in jail, though I wasn't able to verify the reason. I wonder if these people felt any remorse, any at all. Let's resume the clip and find out.
Hi, Bob.
Hi,
Can you give me your name?
my name is Chris Walker.
And what do you do for a living?
I log. I'm a logger.
I want to ask you a question, a really important question.
Okay.
So recently, we just saw some dash cam video from an Oregon State police officer. And on that video, he got a phone call. And it was by a woman. Or it was some woman on the other line. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Do you remember what she said?
She said that Laura Weaver and Chris Walker are possibly part of a terrorist organization, and that we're on a national terrorist watch list.
And what did you think when you heard that?
So, kind of sucks to be labeled like that with the government who's dangerous as it is, but at the same time, I'm kind of honored for the aspect in which they think of us as terrorists. Because I mean, if you're a terrorist for loving your country and loving freedom and just wanting a government to act accordingly, not overstretch its limits and oppress and hurt the people, then I'll be called a terrorist any day.
Do you feel like you're in danger when you're on that terrorist watch list?
Yeah, it makes me feel in danger every day. Makes me fear for the safety of my kids while I'm at work. These people are dangerous. So yeah, it makes me scared. But at the same time, you know, I'm kind of honored to be looked at as such by the government, because I don't agree with this government. I haven't for a long time.
What do you think you did to end up on a terrorist watch list?
I I don't obey unconstitutional laws or statutes. It's not that I go out and commit crimes or anything, but I won't obey an unlawful order by these so-called police officers who are supposed to be here to serve the public, or these sheriffs who are supposed to protect the people. But instead, I don't know. My wife and I and many others, we've tried to educate people on the Constitution, the common law grand juries. I guess you can call it civil unrest, is how they should be labeling it.
Do you think you're a terrorist?
No. I think I'm a terrorist to these terrorists. These people who are actually terrorists, who are only here to generate laws for revenue, create statutes, codes, rules, and regulations only against the people. Nothing ever regulating themselves through government, never creating laws to regulate the government.
You think you're a terrorist to these terrorists?
Yeah, they're absolutely terrorists.
I don't think you're a terrorist. I think you're a good man. And I think as a good man, if you saw somebody hurting somebody else, you would do everything you could to stop it.
But that doesn't make me any less of a terrorist to these people, to these government officials, who are actually the terrorists.
Do you even want a government anymore?
No, I actually don't want a government for a long time. I want people to be self-sufficient and not rely on the government. I don't want everybody to be dependent upon the government, because that's why we are where we're at today when it comes to legislation and rulemaking and lawmaking. So no, I don't want a government right now. Our sheriff's department is probably the only thing that I would agree with right now, and that's just so that people don't think of anarchy when it comes to no government and going out and rape, robbing, and pillaging other people, thinking that they're not going to have any defense from the government. But that's why we have a sheriff. We're supposed to have a sheriff for that purpose, to protect the people from any dangers, foreign or domestic.
I love you.
I love you too.
He is proud to be considered a terrorist by a terrorist organization. Okay. I cut a lot out of that clip, but it's pretty clear if you go and watch the whole video that Mrs. Walker was leading him in the questions she was asking. This is one of the last videos ever uploaded to their channel, and I haven't done any research to see if they have a new channel or not. All of the basic, poorly worded Sovcit talking points were there, though. He just doesn't believe we should have a government. Just sheriffs. He believes the government is corrupt. He believes that people should be their own sovereign and should govern themselves. It's all wrong, and I don't agree with any of their methodologies, if I'm honest. I've said before, I'm a leftist. I believe the government is corrupt, and I don't know if reform is the way to go, or if the whole system should be torn down and rebuilt into something new. All I know is we're in late-stage capitalism and the planet is dying. Something has to be done, and we need dissidents. We need people to be critical of our government, but not in the absurd, petty way these people are doing it. These people are getting people killed for no good reason other than the fact that they are too damn lazy to march their happy butts down to the DMV and acquire a real driver's license and vehicle tags. They are so caught up in the minutia of nonsense that they are dragging down real movements attempting to elicit change. This bothers me a whole lot. I'm very angry at the whole institution of sovereign citizens. So here are my final thoughts. I think they're wrong. I agree that they are terrorists. I believe that they use their white privilege and their white supremacy to get away with literal murder and only make the police brutality problem worse for our country. I don't like the police. I wholeheartedly believe that we need to defund them and the entire system needs massive reform. However, what Sovcits do is entirely unhelpful and results in the needless suffering and death. There are avenues for change which they tend to discard entirely. I think that using a position of white supremacy to try and enact change is harmful as fuck, and honestly the entire ethos of theirs that they can be members of a society and contribute absolutely nothing infuriates me. You can't just not pay taxes. Taxation isn't theft. Profit is. You have to contribute to society for the benefit of everyone. Do I agree with where our taxes go right now? No. But taxes should be used for the common good, and these people don't even want to contribute to that. Sovcits dovetail a bit with libertarians, which I'll be talking about soon as well. But for now, I want to know your thoughts. What do you think of sovereign citizens? Would you like to see more content about them? Is there anything you'd wished I'd discuss more in depth? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.
I'm kind of honored for the aspect in which they think of us as terrorists.